Yes.
Something is missing. Oh yeah, here. All right. Is Jen joined us?
She's connecting at the moment.
Okay. We'll give her a minute. There she is.
Hello.
Hello. All right. I will call to order the regular board meeting of the Park District of Highland Park on Wednesday, and that's Wednesday, January 26, 2022 at 6:00 p.m. Pursuant to section 7E of the Open Meetings Act, the president of the Board of Park Commissioners made a finding that it is not practical or prudent to hold in-person meetings because of the COVID-19 public health emergency. Neither the elected officials nor the public will be allowed to attend regular or committee meetings in person, but will be able to participate virtually. Links to the virtual meeting can be found on the Park District website. Saying that, Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Bernstein, Commissioner Freeman,
Here.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Here.
Vice President Grossberg,
Here.
President Ruttenberg.
And here we have a quorum, and Commissioner Bernstein is not able to participate this evening. Executive Director Romes, are there any additions to the agenda?
There are no additions from staff.
All right. From the commissioners? Okay, thank you. So then we will go to the public hearing for the 2022 budget. Is there a motion to convene the public hearing for the proposed budget and appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2022 and ending December 31, 2022?
So moved.
Is there a second? Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
Yes, as well. The motion is carried. So the public hearing for the proposed budget and appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2022 and ending December 31, 2022 for the Park District of Highland Park is now in session. Bang the gavel. As required by law, the budget was, with the board's consensus, laid down for a period of 30 days. The document was available to be reviewed at Recreation Center of Highland Park, the Highland Park Library, and the district's website. Also, in accordance with the law, notification of tonight's hearing was posted in the Lake County News Sun on Tuesday, January 18, 2022. Anyone wishing to speak on the public hearing will need to use the raise hand function in Zoom to indicate that they would like to speak. The board secretary will call on registrants who have activated the raised hand feature in alphabetical order. And at this point, that would be only to speak on the proposed budget and appropriation ordinance. Executive Director Romes, is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the board on this topic?
There are several attendees, but there is nobody here with their hand raised to comment on the budget and appropriation.
Thank you. Let the record show that there were no members of the community or Board of Commissioners who have chosen to speak on this issue. If the board has no comments, are there any, well, let me ask, are there any comments from members of the board?
No.
Let the record show that all who desire to speak have been afforded the opportunity. Executive Director Romes, are you aware of any written communications that were received relative to the proposed budget and appropriation ordinance for the 12-month period ending December 31, 2022?
No, I'm not.
Thank you. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roxanne, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes, the motion carries. The public hearing on the budget has been concluded. Some changes to the agenda. If there are no objections from the Board of Commissioners, I request moving item A from the new business regarding an update from the Parks Foundation of Highland Park before public comment, and moving items B and C from unfinished business to appear after public comment. Are there any objections? All right, seeing none. We will now then go to the Parks Foundation update. Director Gagola will introduce Raphael Labrador, Parks Foundation President, to present.
Thank you very much. I am going to turn it over to Raphael Labrador, who is our Parks Foundation President, who's going to provide an update on a fundraising effort that was spearheaded by a committee for Park Avenue and overseen by our Parks Foundation. So Raphael, I will turn it over to you.
Liz, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me tonight. I'm pleased to provide an update on this fundraising effort that Liz was describing. With connection to this Park Avenue breakwater and boat ramp replacement project, one of the challenges was for the community to raise a $300,000 target goal to show support for the project. And so the Power Boaters, the North Shore Yacht Club, and the Friends of the Park Avenue Boating Facility have teamed up with us, the Park Foundation, along with the Park District, to effect that effort. And I have really fantastic news to share that we've received really overwhelming support for this project and have fully met the $300,000 fundraising commitment as of a couple of days ago, actually. And I want to provide a little bit more context on that for you. Ultimately, we've raised over $329,000 to date, and there's another $40,000 that are pledged. And that comes from, well, first of all, that was led by a generous $150,000 donation from a single anonymous individual as a matching grant to really inspire the community to step up. And they really responded in spades to that. And ultimately, we've got 226 households that have made individual donations and another 350 that banded together to make a group donation. So that's almost 600 households, not people, but households in Highland Park that have showed this and showed support for this project. And what's notable about that is that more than half of the funds come from people or families that are not boaters, do not own boats, do not engage in boating related activities. So I think this kind of reframes for us in our engagement with the community on this as really a lakefront issue and not just a boater issue, right? So this is something that the citizens of Highland Park have spoken pretty clearly. They see it as of a broader interest than just the boating community. I think that from the standpoint of the foundation specifically, one thing that we're really excited about this is the demonstration that this shows of the ability for us to partner with members of the community and the Park District to advance important projects, right? So this is a model that we hope to grow an important sort of strategic for the foundation itself. So this is a really important and highly visible demonstration project for that, which we think can really bring a lot of benefit to the community and a broad range of other kinds of initiatives. And one of the really important parts of this is making sure that we kind of follow through on our commitments. So for one example, the foundation was very careful to communicate to prospective donors that money would be earmarked for this purpose specifically and reserved only for that purpose if it were donated specific to the Breakwater project, which is important for people to know. So we need to honor that commitment. And really on behalf of the foundation, we just really appreciate the opportunity to work with you on this. And we're very excited about the progress that the community has made here, and we're really looking forward to potentially celebrating the opening of this facility in 2023. Should it see through all the milestones that we have to still get through to get to that point. So wanted to know if you have any questions for me at this point.
I think that's a wonderful report. Thank you. Are there any commissioners who have a question or a comment?
I guess I do. And my question would be not about this at all, but Ralph, were you going to give a fuller report on what we talked about at our last meeting, or we were going to limit it strictly to this fundraising effort?
Tonight, the plan, Terry, was to limit it to this, but I think that the fuller conversation that I think you might be referring to, Terry, was more about the strategic planning and kind of the strategic direction for the foundation. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, I'd actually like to ask the board if we could come back and have a fuller discussion about that. We just had a kind of a working session with the board of the foundation in our past meeting. We want to tighten that up, and I'd love to come back and present that. It tightens up the focus around the strategic focus for our fundraising pillars on scholarships and capital projects. I mean, tonight we really talked about a model for capital projects, and I'd like to come back with you to fill that a little bit for you, and also present some more detail on our fundraising, our direct fundraising for scholarships.
Well, I think we'd like to hear that. And if you could communicate with Brian Rome's, I'm sure that we could find a day when the agenda won't be jam-packed, give you an ample opportunity for an interactive discussion with the board. Thank you for the support.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much for the time.
All right.
I have a
Next.
comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I didn't raise my hand. I just sort of jumped in there. I just wanted to thank Raph. Thank you for the report. It's a great one. And thanks to everyone who put time in on this. What I'm excited for this, but I'm excited that there is a vehicle and a path and a methodology for filling gaps wherever we find them. So going forward, I'm really optimistic that we'll be able to do lots of good things throughout the community. And it gives us a chance to see, not just from public comment or votes or whatever, but we get to see votes at a referendum or something, but we get to see support for something specific. And a lot of those donors, especially the matching donor, doesn't have a vote. It's not just about a really niche thing. It's about the lakefront and the bluff and the beach and being able to enjoy something that's a very cool amenity that's unique to us. So just wanted to thank you.
Thank you, Jen. And that's really well said. And I think, yeah, we've tapped into a passion. So this is not specific to one project. This is something that we can really develop and use to grow. So I'm looking forward to continuing that process. And I'm just a messenger for a lot of people that were involved in this, for sure. This was a huge group of people that really drove this. And that's kind of part of the message. So
great. Well, we thank you. And as we said, we'll have a time when we can all get together and focus on this, because as Jen said, I think there's some great projects that we can all work together with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
now
Rob.
we'll move to public comment for items that are on the agenda. As a reminder, this section of public comments is for items on tonight's agenda. There will be a second opportunity at the end of the meeting for those who wish to comment on other items not on tonight's agenda. And just let me point out that regarding Park Avenue, the item on the agenda is just the temporary repair proposal. It's not the overall Park Avenue complex and repairs. So comments would be limited only to that item. Anyone wishing to comment on items on the agenda will need to, once again, use the raise hand function in Zoom. Executive Director Romes, are there any members of the public wishing to comment on items on the agenda?
Yes, so currently we do have 3 hands raised, and I will reiterate that we ask 3 minutes that you use that time for that, and try not to be duplicative in the comments. So right now there are 3 hands raised, and I will begin with Carol Dianca. So if Roxanne, you want to let her be able to speak for public comments.
I think I'm unmuted, right?
You're good to go.
Okay, great. Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. I'm really enlightened here and encouraged that there's been so much community support to, fix the lakefront and get the beach back in some kind of good usable shape. My question is, however, that I'm wondering what the plan is, or if the plan has changed at all from what was rolled out last fall, when there was a public meeting and the proposal was given with verbal and also some posters that were showing the proposed improvements. There were many, many concerns from the residents in the room about possibly losing more of the ability to use the beach, that there would be a boardwalk and people could sit on the boardwalk and look at the beach. but they really wouldn't have access to the beach.
Carol,
Or-
I'm gonna have to interrupt you, and I apologize for this. The overall plan, as I mentioned, is not on the agenda tonight. If you want to speak to the temporary repairs that are on the agenda that we're going to vote on later, we'd like to hear that. But for the general comments regarding Park Avenue, would you please save those for the appropriate meeting?
And when would the appropriate meeting be? When is that?
Carol, I'd be happy to, I'll put my email in the chat. You can feel free to email me and I'd be happy to get back to you. And I could also try and answer any of your questions. I'd be happy to share that plan with you in the progress. So I'll put my email in there right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Roxanne or Brian? I see Annette has her hand up.
Yeah, there was a couple more
Okay.
if you want from the public, and then we'll go to Annette if that's okay. So next was Garrett Flynn.
Great. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, go right ahead, Garrett.
Excellent. So I'll be short and sweet with this. On last year, when the temp repair was taken to Weiss Janey to put together a design, they came back with the design and had an estimate of 30 to 35K to do the repair. At that time, it was stated in December that if the kind of validation of that estimate came in at the same point, that it would not go out to bid. The contractor or contractors were reached out to, the estimates were deemed or seemed to be higher than the 30 to 35K that Weiss Janey estimated. And so it was taken out to bid. So now that we've got the bids and those were reviewed last week, and there is an estimate that falls within that 30 to 35 $1,000 range, I would advocate to the board to kind of stay true to past comments and proceed forward with the temp repair so that we can have the launch in the boating facility open for the entirety of this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian, next person.
So Brian, David Sogan had his hand up, even though it's down right now. So we
Okay.
should let David speak.
Go ahead. Let David in the room. That'd be great. Mr. Sogan, you are in the room. You are muted. As soon as you are ready to unmute, we are ready for you.
Unmute. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. Not surprisingly, I'm speaking in favor of the temporary repair ramp. Well, as Raf had indicated, we've had over 200 contributions, households to the breakwater project. The recruiting for the loyalty program for the power boaters has not proceeded as well as we would like. Partly it's the time of year, partly because the power boaters need to see loyalty coming back. And a very important point for them would be to be able to have the temporary repair so that they could have a boating season this year. There's a safety issue by not having that repair done, whether it's the North Shore Yacht Club's inflatable safety boats or the larger boat, or it's the fire department. For the fire department to go to Lake Forest, that can add another 20 minutes to any response time. And that certainly can make the difference between life and death and an emergency on the lake. Fortunately, last year, we didn't require that, but there has been years when it has been extremely important. And finally, the repairing the temporary ramp for the season is physically responsible to do. The staff analysis showed at the finance meeting that there would be an additional loss of $45,000 beyond the $26,000 if the ramp were to be temporarily repaired. That's an additional $45,000. The appropriate thing to do is fix the ramp. I realize the site appears to be running at a deficit, but it's running at a deficit on, I think it's around $200,000 in revenue, $268,000 in revenue. And I also would recommend that there's an option for the repair where the repair at the upper end of the ramp if that's done with concrete, if the boating project, if the breakwater project goes through, that repair could probably be done with asphalt because it's likely that entire area is going to be substantially damaged during the construction of the breakwater. And that would save an additional $4,000. Thank you very much.
And now it would be Councilwoman Littleworth.
So I just wanted to thank the foundation for an amazing job. I mean, with what's going on just in the community in general and the economic times that we're in and the hardships we're in, to really get people to come together at a time when it's impossible to see more than 2 people at a time is really impressive. So I just wanted to say thank you to them for their outreach to both the city and to our community in general. And I think it's really a sort of a vote of good faith in you as commissioners, as a board, and the good works of the Park District that the community via the foundation has been able to put this foot forward. So I really commend all of you for this effort.
Thank you. I know that Commissioner Kaplan has a work conflict, and I'm going to ask that we change the agenda one more time unless there's an objection, and move to the approval of Park Avenue temporary boat ramp repair contract at this point, and we'll come back to the Highland Park strings. Is there an objection to doing this from the commissioners?
No.
All right. And I apologize to everyone else. Executive Director Romes and Director Carr to present approval of the Park Avenue temporary boat ramp repair contract.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I will keep this brief since on January 20th at the Finance Committee meeting, Director of Planning and Projects, Jeff Smith, did present this exact same presentation. So I'm just going to run through it real quickly and then take questions and go from there. So just real quick on the project scope, there were really 4 items. So item 1 is just mobilization and in general conditions. Item 2 is the new concrete topping over the damaged area of the submerged concrete ramp. Then item 3 is over here. It's to fill the void between the upper portion of the concrete ramp where the barge currently is. And then there was an alternate, which is to repair this damaged concrete, which is a safety hazard. So altogether, we did receive bids for this project, which again, we shared. And as you can see, the Misfits construction for the base bid came in at $30,500 with the alternate of $4,000 for that fourth portion there. And we did do this comparison. Mitch, I don't know if you want to go through this real quick.
Sure, I can, Brian. As Brian mentioned, we were asked to provide a comparative review for the Finance Committee. We're addressing that today with these 3 columns, which basically have our budget summary for 2022, what the budget would be like with the temporary repair, and what the budget might look like if we didn't do the concrete ramp at all. Our budgeted revenue is $268,507, and that doesn't change with the repair option. It would go down by approximately $100,000 with the assumption that revenue would be lost from all of the storage and launch holders, that we would be deferring loyalty payments from individuals, and that the number of Park Avenue parking passes would be decreased by about 25%. Our budgeted expenses for 2022 are $260,751. That would increase, of course, with the temporary repair based off of the bid that we received by $34,500. If we didn't do it, we would, and the ramp was closed, we would reduce our expenses by about $39,000 due to the assumption that we would not do dredging. So this would leave us with a surplus in the budget, in the standard budget of over $7,000, a deficit with the temporary repair of about $26,700. And without doing the launch or repair and closing the ramp for the year, we expect our deficit to be around $64,000. So happy to answer any questions related to financial operations.
I'll just real quick, if it's okay with the board, just run through the last slide here and then we can go through questions. But as I said before, this was presented at the Finance Committee, who asked that we put this on the regular agenda for this evening. So tonight, there is a request for the board's consideration to approve this project. And if that is approval tonight, construction would begin March 21st and then would be completed by April 1st, after which we would move in to getting prepared for dredging, et cetera, for the season of 2022 boating season. So happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Right, let's ask if any of the commissioners have questions, starting with Jen.
I don't have any questions, just a comment.
Or comment.
I'm just, this feels like a no-brainer to me. We went over the financials in the Finance Committee meeting, and, more importantly, it keeps or brings boaters back and sort of staves off any further attrition that we might have from the site, given that we have projects in the works. So I'm pretty excited. Thank you.
Okay, Terry?
I'm just echoing Jen's comments. No other comments or questions.
Brian Kaplan?
Heard I'm just echoing as well.
All right. So is there a motion from the Park Board of Commissioners to approve items 1, 2, 3, and alternative 1 from Misfits, love that name, Construction Company for the 2022 Park Avenue temporary boat, I got to read the whole thing, ramp repair project, and authorize the executive director to enter into the agreement in the amount of $34,500.
So moved.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion on the motion?
No,
All
sir.
right, Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kaplan,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes, the motion carries. Thank you. We will now move back to the Highland Park strings. I don't know, Brian, are you able to stay for this?
If it's short, yes.
I can't tell you a car is going to be short or not. All right,
Mitch
I
presents-
guarantee you that Mitch's presentation will be short.
Mitch, you've got to do it short.
I can do it short, 30 seconds or less. So good evening. Obviously, there's no presentation with this agenda item, just a real quick summary. On the 16th of December, we did present to the board the affiliate and sponsored organization applications. As part of this, the Highland Park Strings sponsored organization application was requesting a financial stipend of $15,000. At that time, the agreements were approved without the financial stipend, and at the board's request, the founder of the Strings, Larry Block, attended our January workshop meeting and provided a short presentation about the organization's history, the impact in the community, and why the financial stipend was being requested. So tonight, we're requesting consideration of a motion from the Park Board of Commissioners to amend the 2022 Highland Park Strings agreement to include a financial stipend.
Thank you.
Wait.
Are there any-
Mitch,
Yes.
staff is now recommending the stipend?
No, we still have our original recommendation. This is just requesting consideration for a motion for the commissioners to discuss the option to provide a stipend.
All right, we'll
Okay.
start with Commissioner Kaplan. Do you have any questions or comments about this?
I have not changed my mind. I think we should give them non-monetary support, and that's it for now.
Jen?
I'll be brief, just a few things. When I looked through the financials, I saw that some of the money was going to rent to 113, for example, District 113, which is another public taxing body, rent for things like Ravinia, places like that. I would be in favor of providing space for a concert or something of that nature, but it seems utterly inappropriate to me to have tax money revenue coming to us and then paying it to another taxing body through this type of arrangement. And I also see it as, I got the brochure. It looks like a big to do. I'm very proud of them. It's awesome. I feel for all of that. It's not necessarily aligned to the mission of the Park District, though, to be providing basically charitable donations for them to continue when we could be helping in other ways, designing a program, et cetera. I'm happy to give resources, I'm just not happy to give cash. I think it's inappropriate. So I'm a no.
Okay, Terry?
I feel what Jen, what you're saying there, and understand it. I think what they really need is a partnership with us to help them design like Highland Park Strings 2023, sort of thing. I believe that the pandemic has hit the arts harder than many, many groups. And I believe that we can fund them. I'm going to propose that we fund them in the amount of $10,000 for 1 year, and that we revisit this. And if nothing has moved, if some of the ideas that that perhaps Brian Rome's have or had their staff has, if none of those have been acted upon in this calendar year, that we go to kind of what Jen's talking about and provide them with some assistance. I know that's not a formal request, but I'm going to make it probably sound better when we get through everybody. But I'd like to see them have some of our support this year with the promise that we help them and that they actually take into consideration the help that we're giving them.
I think I totally agree with what Terry is saying. But the Highland Park Strings is one of those aspects of the community that makes it a great community to live in. And as important it is to the many people who put in money to allow people to launch their power boats from Park Avenue, more kids play musical instruments in Highland Park than sail. And I think we'd be doing a disservice to the community if we did not help this organization. And if $10,000 is the amount that we can provide with other support, and maybe look to next year to have some type of longer and better agreement, I would do that. So I would say we give them $10,000 as Terry suggested. Now, if Jen or, if we have a tie, then the motion will fail. Am I correct, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, you can also defer the motion to next meeting if you'd like to.
Yes, I think. What, Terry?
I would like to do that.
All right, we'll defer this vote till next meeting when we can have a full board. Okay. So, Brian Kaplan, are you still there, or have you departed?
I'm going back to work.
Okay, thank you. Let the record show that at 6:33, Mr. Commissioner Kaplan has left the meeting. All right, so we can go to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I so move.
Is there a second? That's Jen.
Second. Sorry, I was on meeting.
All right, Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freeman.
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
Yes, the motion carries. Financial forecast, Treasurer's report, Director Peters to present.
Okay, good evening, everyone. On your screen, you should have the, hold on, sorry. On your screen, you should have the 2021 financial forecast and treasurer's report for the year ended December 31st, 2021. And before we take a look at those, I just want to remind everyone, year-end financials are a little bit different than when we close month to month, because it takes much longer to close year-end financial statements and have them accurate and ready for the audit. And so as we move into 2022, we will continue to make adjustments and finesse these financial statements till about the end of February. But we're still going to go over these numbers. I can give you a few extra details on things that haven't quite posted yet, but we still have a very clear understanding of where we think we're going to end up. So let's take a look at the operations. So again, the operations have general and recreation funds on them, and we can see how we have trended all year long. The dotted green line is our actual revenue versus our budgeted revenue in the solid line. And at this point, we're at about $2.1 million higher in revenue than we had originally budgeted for. And then concurrently, we can see back early in the first quarter that our actual expenses deviated from what the budgeted expenses were, the solid red line. And at the end of the year, we are looking at our actual expenses coming in at around $1.8 million less than where they had been budgeted to be. And so overall, that puts us at about a $3.9 million surplus for the end of the year. We also compare ourselves to the 3-year average of 2017 through 2019, which are the 3 pre-COVID years. And when we compare ourselves to the average for those 3 years, we are averaging about $2.6 million more of a surplus than we had during those 3 years. So a couple of things we want to discuss that have not hit revenue yet. On Friday, when Brian sends his memo out to everyone, you will see that we received this week a check for impact fees from the city of Highland Park. That check is just under $400,000. So that will increase this green dotted line by that much more. Additionally, you'll also see in the Friday memo that comes out from Director Romes that the property taxes, all the property taxes were not collected as of December 31st. They were promised to us in January. They have been postponed till February. Those tax dollars received in February will get carried back to 2021. And we anticipate those property taxes to be at least $100,000. And so between the property taxes and the impact fees, we anticipate this ending green revenue line to increase by about $500,000. When we look at things on the expense side, again, expenses tend to trickle in after year end that are related back to 2021. So I can tell you as of today, we have had over $300,000 of expenses come through that are not shown here. And at this point, we are projecting probably roughly about another $100,000 in expenses to hit before the end of February. So in essence, we are anticipating roughly $500,000 more in revenue and less than $500,000 more in expenses. And so we feel this is a pretty solid number, and actually this surplus may grow a little bit more depending on where those final expense numbers come in. And so do we have any questions on this schedule before we go to our conclusion?
Terry, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's not really a question because I attend meetings and I've been following you. And Mary Lynn, thank you. We've asked a lot of you this year and the last 2 years to put together these easy to understand charts for us lay people. And so we really do appreciate it. If I was tuning into this as a resident of Highland Park for the first time and was to look at this chart, I think at first I would say, wow, we are a great business. Look at this profit margin we have at the end. But then I might sit back and go, well, wait a minute, a lot of that's my tax money. Why do we have so much more money in there than we budgeted? So I know you have an answer for that. I know the district does, but yeah. I definitely think that needs to be explained to a person who's just tuning in maybe for the first time.
Of course. Okay, so let me explain. So the solid lines, the solid green and the solid red, that was our original budget. The budget, as you know, we just had the public hearing for next year's budget. So roughly 1 year ago, we presented this budget for approval, and the budget was made based on being in phase 4 of the Illinois Recovery Plan that Governor Pritzker has provided for us. And so based on being in phase 4, there were a lot more mitigations, class sizes for everything at the district, from camps to park school, athletics, everything was significantly reduced in what we thought we could do. However, we ended up going into phase 5. And so going into phase 5 provided us to be able to offer more programming, fuller class sizes, so to speak, or activity sizes, because we were in a phase 5 environment. I will also say our outdoor activities, tennis, golf, and we'll see that in our conclusion. They were really off the charts this year. We had what I would call just a perfect summer of weather. Hardly a rain out to be seen. Temperatures, pretty moderate, so people could enjoy outdoor activities, which of course are very much encouraged during the pandemic. The other thing on this, if we look at the expense side of things, over $1 million of this savings and expenses is from salaries and related insurance and related IMRF payments, pension payments. And so we know we were very short-staffed at the beginning of the year. We had hoped to fill positions that in a lot of places didn't come to fruition, or it came to fruition much later in the year than we had anticipated that to take place. So those are kind of the bigger reasons as to why things have ended up the way they are. I also want to caution too that these year-end numbers are before transfers. We have to remember that we will be bringing to you in February at the Finance Committee meeting and then at the board meeting in February, what we're proposing to transfer out of our operating funds into the capital fund to, of course, fund improvements around the park district. So that's something that, is not reflected here. If we don't have any surplus at the end of the year, then we don't have money to transfer to the capital fund.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on this schedule?
I actually have one, because we've mentioned a few times that we have savings and salaries. Are we staffed where we need to be or where we would like to be for all that we have going on? Like, this is great savings, or are we looking
I
for
can answer
people?
that for you if you like.
Thank you, Director Rose.
So I'll actually use this as an opportunity to just give a lot of praise to staff, because we are operating what I would consider to be in many areas over 100% of what we've done in even typical years as far as what we're providing to the community. However, we are operating at about 25% less than what would be a full staff. And so those cost savings have been very favorable financially speaking, but obviously they've been very challenging on our staff, and staff has really persevered, not only through one of the most challenging times of our lives, but also persevered in delivering these great services that the community has shown great support for, to take advantage of and to participate in. Obviously, as we know, we also did do 1 year of a salary freeze. So, right now we're financially benefiting from those things, but obviously we do need to we will be having to play some catch up with trying to become fully staffed and address some of the challenges that we're having with recruitment and retention, which we will likely talk about at a future meeting. So, so no, we're not operating at a comfortable level with staffing at this point. We are in need of more staff positions. We're looking for wonderfully passionate staff members who want to work in a great culture. So if you're interested, let us know.
Yes.
Awesome, thanks. I thought it was important to point out because, the way Terry framed it was like, hey, if you're just joining this for the first time, it sounds great to say, oh, look at the savings. But the reality is we are bringing on a lot of projects and things over the next couple of years, and we got to make sure we have the staff to help us with that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Onward.
Okay, all right. So next, we're just going to go straight to our conclusion this evening. So in conclusion, if we recall, about a year ago, Park District programs and facilities were either partially closed or canceled due to COVID mitigation efforts. Since then, sorry about that. Since then, the Park District was able to significantly adjust expenses, as you could see in the slide we were just on, especially payroll on its own at $599,000 below budget, resulting in that $3.9 million above budgeted net revenue. And finally, for the period ended December 31st, 2021, we can see that athletics had a surplus over budget of $180,000. Camps is at $113,000 more than budget. Tennis had a surplus of $266,000 greater than budget. Golf is at $753,000 more than budget. Recreation is at $223,000 more than budget. Westridge is at $169,000 more than budget. And Centennial Ice Arena is at $154,000 more than budget. In fact, all cost centers are going to finish up the year. All cost centers but two are going to be shown as operating a surplus at year end. And all of this places the Park District in a very favorable financial position at the end of the year. Do we have any further questions?
Anybody? Nod, shake your head. No, looks like we're very good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to unfinished business. This is going to sound familiar. The approval of Ordinance 2022-01, the combined budget and appropriation beginning January 1, 2022 through December 31, 2022. Director Peters.
Okay, for this, there is no presentation, just a refresher. We just had the public hearing, and President Runberg, you discussed how the budget has been displayed for the past 30 days. Prior to that, the budget had been reviewed twice at two different finance committee meetings, once in November and once in December. And then it was at the December 16th workshop meeting that the park board agreed to lay down the budget for the required minimum of 30 days at the locations that were notated previously. The public hearing was in fact posted, as you said, in the Lake County News Sun. In the budget for 2022, we have operating revenues of just under $23 million and additional revenues of about $2.4 million. We have estimated expenditures district-wide of about $35 million. And we are budgeting an anticipated deficit of almost $10 million. And that is a planned use of reserves for capital projects related to master planning, just like we pretty much discussed during the financial portion of the meeting. And so staff recommends approval of the 2022 budget and the 2022 budget and appropriation ordinance for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022.
I would just like to point out, when you said that there's a deficit of $10 million, that's because of the application of the capital expenses that we have provided funding for.
That's right, as it is a planned deficit to use our reserves for capital projects.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion to approve Ordinance 2022-01, the 2022 budget, and 2022 budget and appropriation ordinance 2022-01 for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2022?
So moved.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right, well, it's a toss-up. All right, is there any discussion on the motion? Anybody? No, seeing none. Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business. Executive Director Romes to present.
Thank you very much. I will keep this brief. Since it's so wonderfully cold outside, I just wanted to highlight our wonderful outdoor activities that we have. Cross-country skiing at Heller Nature Center is open, so you can make your reservation online. We also have ice skating at Sunset Woods Park. There is both a freestyle area and a hockey area. So looking for something to do in the cold weather, dress warm, wear a hat and gloves. And we also have a sled hill, of course, over at Danny Kneff Park. So I'd encourage the public to take advantage of those. A lot of other exciting things going on in the Park District to look forward to that we'll give updates at future meetings, such as a new website and app to make things a lot more convenient and easy for the public to find where to go to recreate and to appreciate nature and register for programs and services. And so we'll be giving more updates on those as we move forward. Our next meetings, as we said before, we are meeting on Wednesdays now. So February 9th is our facility and recreation meeting, followed by our workshop. Week after, Wednesday the 16th is our lakefront parks and natural areas, followed by finance. And then on the 23rd will be a policy committee meeting, followed by our regular board meeting of the month. So that is all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions for Executive Director Romes? Shake or nod?
Nope.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now, we are open to the public to address the board for anything that they wish to speak to us about, whether it's on the agenda or not. Executive Director Romes, is there anyone from the public who wishes to address the board?
So, I do have two forms of public comment that was emailed to me. They indicated they were not able to make the meeting tonight. And I did forward these to the board, and I indicated I'd read them aloud. So there was two. One was from resident Michael West, who says, as a 45+ year resident, taxpayer, voter, and avid user of Park Avenue voting facility, I respectfully urge the board to proceed with the temporary repairs of the concrete ramp. So I guess I'll be pleased with that. And then we have one other public comment, which is from Margaret Winker Cook. And she's writing regarding the Park Avenue beach proposal. She's a member of North Shore Yacht Club and donated towards the $300,000 community fund to help the plan move forward. Strongly in favor of the boat launch, which is essential for community safety, to enable rescue boats and to launch for sailing and other programs to safely take place, and replacing the barge, which is essential to ensure safe navigation of the beach, as well as address an eyesore that is contaminating one of Highland Park's greatest gems. Some other plans that were in the Park District proposal have not received full community input and were raised at the last community meeting, yet have not been addressed. Before finalizing these plans, the Park District should fully ascertain community priorities and what steps should be taken to make the area more desirable. Recent Nextdoor posts regarding funding raised these issues as well. For example, the plan should address availability of the beach for swimming, even if it doesn't have a lifeguard, swim at your own risk, and being able to launch a kayak or sailboat or from a vehicle if one does not have the most expensive parking sticker. Issues with the current proposal plan for develop a part of the bluff that would contribute to erosion. All development should be carefully evaluated for environmental impact. Renovation of the clubhouse without sufficient input from the North Shore Yacht Club needs and uses, lack of easy access, kayak storage for North Shore Yacht Club, the 3-tiered racks that would require very strong people to remove and replace the kayaks. Currently, the kayak beach storage permits anyone with a partner to be able to move kayaks up and down from the beach to the water's edge. Investments in redoing the parking lot and adding landscaping, when these additions would do nothing to improve the beach access and use, but simply make it appear that Highland Park cares about appearances, while use of the beach and lake apparently is lower priority. If we don't have money to use the resources we have, why invest in appearances? Thank you all for your work on this project and hearing me out. Please contact me if you have questions, which I have. That's it.
Okay.
I do not see, let me see, just to double check if anybody else has their hand raised. It appears that nobody else has their hand raised for public comment.
Okay, Terry, did you have your hand raised?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the following section of the Open Meeting Act? Section 2C21, the discussion of minutes lawfully closed under the Act, whether for the purposes of approval of said minutes or for conducting the semi-annual review of the minutes as set forth in Section 2.06 of the Act. Jen, Terry?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes, and so we are adjourning into the closed session at 6:55 p.m. And Roxanne sent us a link to log in separate from that. Then we come back to this and we then do some action after the closed session. Okay,
Correct. So
Okay.
this will remain open, but we will all be leaving and we'll come back if the public's watching. We will be back.
bye-bye. Get the picture, start my video. Okay. We are reconvening the regular meeting of the Park District of Highland Park Board of Commissioners into open session at 7:03 p.m. And we will take action from closed session. Ready for this one? Is there a motion to release a portion of the closed session minutes from July 22, 2021 regarding the review of closed session minutes from February 23, 2021 to June 24, 2021 for public inspection, and to withhold closed session minutes for public inspection from July 13, 2021, August 10, 2021, and August 12, 2021, August 26, 2021, and December 2, 2021, as well as December 7, 2021, December 15, 2021, and a portion of July 27, 2021, as well as those closed session minutes that were reviewed and withheld in the past.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roxanne, please call the roll.
Commissioner Freeman,
Aye.
Vice President Grossberg,
Yes.
President Ruttenberg.
I vote yes, the motion is carried. Is there anything else the commissioners would like, or Brian and staff would like to discuss?
Nope, and I think just Roxanne and I are the only ones here, so.
Okay, well, that's
Well, there are a few attendees still here.
attendees in the sense of staff, or are they?
Nope, there's one staff, it looks like, and there are two members from the public who are still registered.
Okay. So with that, unless there's anything else from the commissioners, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We all in favor? Nod your head.
Aye.
All right, we stand adjourned at 7:08 p.m. Thank you all.
Good night. Stay warm.
Thank you.